What's going on, Fortnite fam? This weekend's competitive action was out of this world. From both the divisional finals, where underdogs are rising to the occasion, to the Reload Elite Series qualifiers, where both Central and West had OGs reclaiming their top spot. There's so much to talk about, so let's get right into the mix. First up, NA Central Reload Elite Series Final. This one was out of this world crazy, going down to the very last game. Remember, we already had Aoxy and JoJo, Shadow, and Virgo, who didn't make finals, already have their spot secured. You even had Pete and Cole, Josh, Yamzo, Muzz, and Sphinx all playing in this finals lobby with nothing really to lose. And it started off that way. Peterbot and Poyo did not queue into game one. It was actually because Peterbot and Poyo overslept. And honestly, that surprised me because Rise was actually in their house, and I heard that Rise landed at their drop spot in game one, knowing they did not get inside of that queue in time. Unfortunately enough for Rise and Curly, they did fall short. They were unable to secure their spot, but Peterbot and Poyo secured yet another win, which is insane. Second, first when it comes to the Reload Elite Series qualifiers. Josh and Yamzo also did have some pop-off performances. Yamzo winning a 1v2 to clutch up one of these games. They're going to get second place on the overall leaderboard, but our first team to earn the spot said it was all OGs, and it's Acorn and Bolts. They secured the spot by over 64 points over the next best team, and even more so after that. So it just goes to show that, hey, they may have missed out on just 1 point in qualifier one, but they made up for it, especially since they're on a hot streak as of late. Qualifying in the second spot, OGs of OGs, the World Cup champion Bugha and his new duo Braids. This one was definitely a close one. We had one game where Bugha as a solo had to clutch out a top 6, and in the last game of the day, Higgs and Curve went down on 307 points. Bugha and Braids actually were able to clutch up, more so Bugha healing off, I do believe getting a top 3 place to end the game, 312 points, beating out Higgs and Curve by just 5 points. After them, 6th place Muzz and Sphinx. Even though they may have lost out on the top spot, they didn't lose out on much because they're still going to the Esports World Cup. In 7th place was Enough and Salt. And honestly, I feel bad for these guys. They had an 8th place, a 1st place, a 1st place. They were looking so good. And then they got caught in the Peterbot and Poyo trap. They went down early in back-to-back games and weren't really able to catch their flow back until the last game of the day. And even by then, it was just too late. So even though they did have 3 wins, they've placed 7th on the overall leaderboard. Queasy and Scare in 8th place. They didn't have very many eliminations, and they didn't really make it far into at least half of their games. You know, 10th place, 13th, 18th, 15th. So they are getting some placement, but they're not getting into the meat of the points. And then they're also not making up for it in eliminations, other than the last game of the day where they did drop a 14 elimination game. Agers and Ritual, 9th place. Not sure what happened to them, but Agers was trying. We saw him on so many different parts of the map, trying to key different teams to make up the point difference from the eliminations, but when it came to consistency, that's when they were all over the place. Best placing was a 2nd place, worst placing was a 14th place, and they kind of hit every number in between those two, so they just failed to be consistent to make it in the end. And then our 10th place team, Visuals and Threats. It did go down to the very last game for either one of these teams to qualify, and even brought the Lion awake from his slumber. This is what his reaction was from qualifying.
But guess what? I just made 10 bans, boy. What's good?
Come on,
Bang, Bugha!
what's good?
Salt.
Motherfucker!
Love to see that. We saw it very well.
Say I'm calling shit out back. What's up? Come on. That's what we do.
Yes! Yes, sir! Let's go!
Fucking go!
Come on, man! Big motherfucking lion in this bitch! So when it comes to NA Central, we have Aoxy and JoJo Fishy, Peterbot and Poyo, Cold and Rapid, Josh and Yamzo, Shadow and Virgo, Muzz and Sphinx, now Acorn and Bolts, and Bugha and Braids. NA West, we'll talk about those teams later, but they have 4 teams for themselves. Let me know what you guys think about the Reload Elite Series in the comments below. Did you guys enjoy it as much as I love casting it? When it comes to the NA West Elite Series qualifier, though, this is where it got interesting. Not only did it come down to the last game, it came down, I think, to the top 5 in that game. We had an Acton, Salco, Epikwhale, and Pump, Arc, and Minute all alive until the very end. Enact and Salco already have their spot from an earlier qualifier, so it would just roll down from there, and which it did, because look at this. They won the last game of the day. They reunite in the same box. No more HP for them to regain, and now this is where Pump is now starting to go to work. Top 5 situation. This is starting to become mathematically impossible without eliminations. Epic and Pump are staying alive. They run into Phoenix and Retro, though. Back-to-back shots are going to be fired off. Both of them landing onto Epikwhale and Pump. They have to figure out a way out. Epikwhale's thinking one right through. Minute, Arc, they're gonna go down, and because Minute and Arc go down, Epikwhale and Pump, winners of this tournament or not, will qualify to the Esports World Cup, even with Enact and Salco having a chance to overtake them and get first place. The win goes to Epikwhale and Pump in terms of qualification spots, but that first place, well, I would say it's still up for grabs, but it's already been snatched away. Enact and Salco are now their first place team on NA West. 10 eliminations here. A victory royale would just be the cherry on top, especially since 2 teams down below are clashing. Phoenix down, Annex down, both solos in the backside of zone, and Enact is hunting them all down. 11 eliminations, a big win, and a tournament final for Enact and Salco. So with them winning that game and getting first place at 406 points, the spot will roll down, which would then go to Epikwhale and Pump. We have long tenured players with Acorn, Bugha on Central, and now Epikwhale and Pump. He's been playing since the World Cup. He actually did win the last game of the day at the Summit LAN as well. Just wasn't enough to push him into the top 15 for the Global Championship spot. But again, another huge performance by Epikwhale and Pump, winning 2 different matches throughout the course of the day, multiple top 5 placings. Their worst placings was their 15th and 12th in 2 different games, but other than that, they were probably one of the most consistent teams in the lobby. Even though Enact and Salco did win, it was because they were going elimination crazy in a lot of their games. In 3rd place, going down a little early in the 7th game, which lost their first place spot, which they had, was Arc and Minute, 365 points. They placed top 5 in the last game of the day, but they ran out of mats. They were smushed on low ground and eventually got eliminated. They were in a position to where if they did have mats and they did win the game, just like Enact and Salco, they could have potentially won the entire thing, but they end up in 3rd place. Arc and Lacey will be playing together in the divisional finals, but in 4th place, Phoenix and Retro, they had a very slow start to the tournament, but then they picked it back up, even getting a victory royale and back-to-back 3rd places throughout the day. Top 5 is going to go to Icy and Compton, another team that at one point or another in the tournament shared first place, but unfortunately, they had a struggle to end the day. They had a 17th place finish, 0 eliminations. They were in contention up until then, but this for the most part is going to be our top 5. We had Reet and Cooper try to go ahead and move on over to NA West, but throughout their entire day, honestly, it was a little bit of a struggle. 7th place, 13th place, 2nd place, 17th place, excuse me, 5th, 8th, 5th, and then 19th to kind of close out the day. They were the ones that took out Arc and Minute in game 7 to try to give themselves a chance, but unfortunately enough, they just didn't have the placements to match with the eliminations to end up in 1st place. So Reet and Cooper will miss out on the Esports World Cup. Let me know when it comes to NA West, though, what you guys think in the comments below. I know I'm a huge fan of this region, but that might be biased. For those of you guys that might be watching and following along with me, let me know what you guys think. When it comes to the divisional cups, I think we're seeing some new heated rivalries. On Central, though, you got to give props to Liam and Veer. I said 2026, the year of the underdogs. They prove it to be so. It wasn't just a win. They capped off with a Game 6 victory royale and over 150-point deficit over 2nd place, which was Golden and Ozone. Javi and Aminish did finish 3rd. Acorn and Bolts finished 4th. Right before the Reload Elite Series, I said they were catching fire. That's exactly why. Josh and Yamza were 5th, Agers of Ritual in 6th, and then Shadow and Virgo in 7th place. This one was interesting because they started the day off with a 2nd place and a 1st place, but that's when struggles began to happen. I think Peterbot and Pollo kind of noticed they were actually performing well. Virgo becoming one of the better fighters on the region. They decided to try to fight them out, and it did not necessarily go their way. They did get the elimination onto Shadow, but Virgo 1v2'd Peterbot and Pollo, which was absolutely insane. First, he took down Pollo, tried to run away. Peterbot kept the chase going, and then eventually he took down Peterbot as well. Wasn't necessarily the tournament anybody would hope for Peterbot and Pollo. They landed in 20th place on the overall leaderboard. The king that they were doing and the overall strategy didn't seem to work out. Some people were saying that maybe because of the time difference, that he didn't necessarily have enough sleep, but to me, I don't know what to say. 20th place, it definitely is an outlier. Wouldn't be too concerned about Peterbot and Pollo, but it's also not something you see every single day. Cold and Rapid, 11th place. Rise and Curly consistently inside of the top 10 for the most part. They got 9th place on the overall leaderboard. Let me know when it comes to NA Central, keeping this one short, what you guys think in the comments below. Is there anything I should have mentioned here? When it comes to finals on NA West, though, this is where things were shaken up just a little bit. As always, a few Central players did qualify into the finals, but so did Arc and Lacey. And typically, you kind of see them not necessarily care as much because it is NA West. They just played a few hours of NA Central, so it's kind of them unwinding while kind of trying. But this time around with Arc and Lacey inside of the finals lobby, we did see a whole different show. Virgo and Bolts were actually performing crazy. They were just edged out. They had 324 points. They landed in second place in only 4 games on NA West. They were beat out by Zeno and Larcos, who even though they went down last game of the day in 44th place, they had too much of a lead. That Virgo's 3rd place to end the day along with Bolts just wasn't enough. They lost by 15 points. But Zeno and Larcos, who aren't even a real duo, are the ones who actually take first place on this region. Slick Season OCs, the same team you saw almost get that spot at the EWC, are going to get 3rd. Salco and Z-Link, different teammates for Reload as they do in BR, but they're figuring out a way to still make that chemistry work and build upon it. 4th place. Epikwhale and Pump, who we just talked about, get that final spot at the Esports World Cup for NA West, get a 5th place on the overall leaderboard. Their placing in this one wasn't as consistent as they were in the Reload Elite Series, but still 5th place, not that bad. Continuing to look down the leaderboard, Arc and Lacey end up in 21st place overall. There were some fishy things going on with another team who are coincidentally enough named Peterbot and Pollo, but those were people just having fun with their usernames. Peterbot did play the tournament only a few games before he kind of quit and gave up. He did play it with Rise, though, so don't be confused with the names you do see on the leaderboard. Bugha and Pars ended up at 18th place, and I think another bad performance like this is the reason why these guys have split up. Yes, you guys heard that right. One of the longest duos in Fortnite have now just split up. I'm not sure exactly who they're actually going to duo with, if they're going to stay on West. Maybe they're going to move on over to Central, back to where the meat of the competition on NA actually is. I know both of these players are West players for the most part, so the ping may not necessarily be there, but if the team offer is, I can see them probably snatch it up. Pars might be playing with Ratgun in the future. I have seen them play scrims in the past. As far as Bugha, I am not entirely sure. Either one of these guys, though, I do believe they can land on their feet. They're some of the best players in the region that just didn't have the start of the year that they would hope for. Continuing to look down the leaderboard, though, one of the people I know from my chat finally making these finals lobbies, Jerry and his teammate Bond. They didn't necessarily perform the best, but it goes to show that, hey, if you guys keep trying out there, you guys keep putting in the work, you can start to see success. He's going to go ahead and get 32nd place, outplacing both Josh and Iamzo and Peterbot and Rise. All jokes aside there, they played out 4 games for Josh, and Iamzo didn't necessarily perform all that well. Overall, though, NA West, not too many big surprises outside of Zeno and Larcos not being a duo winning the entire thing. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below when it comes to NA West. But that's going to do it for this video. Keeping it short. Reload Elite Series Finals. All 3 spots secured. Let me know what you think about those teams. And then the Divisional Finals for both regions. Who do you guys think is some of the best teams in each of these regions leading up to FNCS? But that's going to do it for me. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Beep, beep.